reports.
Yeah, that's just.
I do not.
Okay, I'm going to call this meeting in order of the Patton Township Planning Commission. Does anyone have anything to add to the posted meeting agenda?
Yes, I do. It does
Okay.
not appear that we have reports from the CRPC meeting in here, so I can give a brief report on that when you think when it's fit.
I was going to bring it up too.
Okay.
So we're going to add that there's nothing about CRPC
Correct.
in here. Okay. Anyone else have anything to add? Okay. Next, we'll move for a motion to take a look and approve the minutes from the January 8th, 2024 meeting. Can I have a motion?
So moved.
Can I have a second?
So seconded.
Any other comments, edits, etc.? Okay, hearing none. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say no. Okay, we approve the minutes. The next is public comment. Does anyone, either in person or on Zoom, have anything that they would like to comment on that is not on tonight's meeting agenda? Anything that's on tonight's meeting agenda, we ask that you wait until we get there on that topic. Is there anyone on Zoom that would like to comment on anything from the public? Hearing none. No one in person? Okay. Then we will go to, are you okay, Bill, if we wait to hear about that till
Yep.
after we go over item 4?
That's fine.
Okay. Then we're going to go to item 4, which is a review of the special exemption to sign regulations for Penn Highlands. Signage hardship request. Reps from Penn Highlands and Secola Sign Company have submitted a sign permit package for the signage for the site for Penn Highlands currently being constructed along Colonnade Boulevard. The Penn Highlands preliminary and final land development plan for the Penn Highlands Micro Hospital and Office Building was approved in the summer of 2021. And it's been suggested by staff that we follow the following format. We hear a presentation from the sign company and Penn Highlands and the developers and any party involved. Then the Planning Commission will state any comments or questions. Then we will ask for any questions from the audience, staff comments, final comments, and then we will have to consider action to take, etc. So, anything staff wants to say before we move to reps from the company and Penn Highlands?
I just want to make one quick little clarification. The map that is attached does have 2 highlighted yellow items. We are only going to be discussing this sign right here, the one in front of the main building. The other sign has been taken care of and reached an agreement between Penn Highlands, Secola, and Township staff.
Okay. All right. So if anyone is here from Penn Highlands or the sign company, Secola, please go to the podium, talk on Zoom. Please state your name, and we will move forward.
Okay. Hi, I'm Melanie Kozak here with Secola Sign Corporation on behalf of
Just-
Penn Highlands Healthcare.
Can you grab the mic and point it towards your
A
face?
little bit more. Is that better? Can
bit
you hear
more.
me? I'll try to speak up. Is that good?
No, that's-
Okay.
That's
good.
much better, yeah.
Okay. I'm Melanie Kozak with Sekula Sign Corporation here on behalf of Penn Highlands Healthcare. I also believe I have Greg Bauer online from Penn Highlands for any comments related to the regulations that I'll be discussing. So just to give you a little bit of history, Sekula Signs has been designing, manufacturing, and installing quality custom signs since 1946. Penn Highlands Healthcare has entrusted us to design, manufacture, and install their signage for many years, ensuring brand consistency. For this particular project, they had us design a sign that will be conspicuous from Colonnade Boulevard so that patients will be able to identify the building entrance upon making the turn off of Colonnade and into the property. This building does house the hospital and the medical office building, so it's important once you make the turn to identify the location of the actual hospital. We feel the building identification, well, I guess I went over that part, that it's necessary because of the medical office building being adjacent to the hospital. So in order to design this sign, we took into consideration many components, the most important of which is the format of Penn Highlands logo. Over the years, the marketing team at Penn Highlands Healthcare has been working hard to ensure consistency in their branding. They have been prompted by the Department of Health to ensure the signage that is installed sends a clear message to patients and to the public, including a tagline which states which hospital these services are provided by. For this project, the name of the facility will be Penn Highlands State College, and this is a campus of Penn Highlands Huntingdon. The latter tagline is mandated by the Pennsylvania Department of Health to meet CMS regulations on the hospital main sign. And I have an example that I can submit of a sign that we recently did several years back from Penn Highlands Clearfield, just to give an example of what they require, what the Department of Health requires. Pass it longer, okay. So this is Penn Highlands Clearfield, and then campus up is the tagline that I'm referring to.
Okay.
So the Department of Health is very strict on the legibility of that sign. They were very specific on this hospital in Clearfield. The letter height had to be 9 inches, so that's what we were sticking with for Penn Highlands State College as well, just to be able to be within that regulation. Another thing that we considered for this sign was the United States Sign Council standard for sign legibility. So this standard is based on speed limit, viewer reaction time, and the number of lanes. So the smaller the sign size would lead to smaller letters, which would lead to less distance visibility. Less distance visibility would also lead to lower reaction time for motorists. And then we also considered, of course, the Patton Township sign ordinance. So if you have the drawing in front of you, I can review the sizes of the sign. The channel logo, which is the pinwheel, is a 3-foot by 3-foot sign. The channel letters, Penn Highlands State College, are 2 foot 1 inches high by 24 foot 4 inches wide. And then the tagline is 1 foot 1 inch high by 18 foot 6 inches wide. The building name is 13-inch high letters, allowing for proper reaction time when approaching the building and parking area. The tagline, 9 inches high, was the letter height required by Department of Health. And the height that we were planning to mount these signs would be 35 foot to the top of the sign for sign 5A, which is the logo, 34 foot 5 from the top of to the top of the sign for the letters, Penn Highlands State College, and then 32 foot 4 high to the top of the sign for the tagline. This sign does fit within the sign ordinance guidelines with regards to square footage, sign type, and quantity of signs. We are requesting a deviation in regards to the sign mounting height. Per section 140-9 of the zoning ordinance, the sign may be mounted within the lower 75% of the building. In this case, signs would need to be mounted no higher than 32 foot high off the ground. Our signs are shown 3 foot higher than that to accommodate the tagline. And to go over the components of the sign, sign 5A and B combine to make up the brand identification for this location. However, state regulation requires that sign 5C, the tagline, be added to the exterior sign display stating this is a campus of Penn Highlands, Huntington. Due to this unique element that is required by the state, per section 140-24.C.2.A.4, we are requesting an exception to allow for slightly higher mounting.
Okay,
Yeah, hey.
just
Okay.
stop for 1 second. Let's back this up so that the board can have a little bit of more clarity. When you say the state of Pennsylvania, what law or regulation are you directly pointing to that says this, so that we
Okay.
can look at that?
That's one that Greg Bauer would be able to answer.
Because that was a question
Yeah.
I had, is how our sign ordinance fits in with what the state law is.
Yeah.
And I was not clear on how the state law kind of meshes with what our township sign ordinance is.
Yep.
In terms of compliance and what's permitted.
So I'm going to say,
Sure.
beautiful sign, looks great. Let's start with the law part of this so that we can learn what the law is, because it sounds to me, based on what staff's provided us in our packet, that we have a very specific, what we can, set of guidelines on what we can maneuver on. So I think starting with what the particular law is. I know everybody's saying this, that it's that Pennsylvania says, let's start with what is the actual text and what is the actual regulation, so we can start there.
Okay.
Sure.
And
This is, sure.
Greg can interject, or if
Yeah.
you want to finish something and then Greg can interject on that, I'll let you two
No,
figure that out.
I'd like to start and answer. I want to back up a little bit myself. This is Greg Bauer. I'm the Chief Business Development Officer for Penn Highlands Healthcare. First, let me thank everybody there at Patton Township. They've been great to work with. We're really excited about this facility. We had a call the other day, and I think we're working together well to figure out this whole signage situation here. But let me back up a minute and give a little bit of a background. Healthcare is complicated, as we all know. So when a hospital opens, it can either be an independent hospital with its own provider number or billing number, or it can be what they call hospital-based, or a campus of another hospital. In this case, Penn Highlands State College, the DBA name, Doing Business As name, is actually a campus of Penn Highlands Huntington, located in Huntington, PA. This hospital will use the billing numbers and the hospital identification from that Penn Highlands Huntington location. Much like the sign Melanie had showed you, our Clearfield campus is a campus of, our Clearfield Hospital is a campus of our hospital in Du Bois. This is very similar. So let's talk about how hospitals get surveyed. There's state regulations and there's federal regulations. The federal regulation that we're talking about is under Title 42, Chapter 4, Subchapter B, Part 413, Subpart E, Subsection 413.65.
Okay,
and it reads,
please.
Oh,
Slower.
okay, I'm sorry. It's Title 42, Chapter 4, Subchapter B, Part 413, Subpart E, Subsection 413.65. And I'm reading the section that's called out public awareness. The facility or organization seeking status as a department of a provider, a remote location of a hospital, or a satellite facility is held out to the public and other payers as part of the main provider. When patients enter the provider-based facility or organization, they are aware that they are entering the main provider and are billed accordingly. So in the state of Pennsylvania, there are state surveyors. This is not a state regulation, this is a federal regulation. The Department of Health has a group of surveyors that are assigned to this project. They will come in and survey this project to make sure we're meeting all of the state requirements, both health and life safety, and they're also contracted by the federal government. Those same surveyors work for the federal government, CMS, in Washington. There's branches all over the country. Ours happens to be in Philadelphia. They'll survey this, and as they come on this campus, we're going to say, this isn't an independent hospital, surveyors. This is a campus of Penn Highlands Huntingdon. And they're going to say, okay, I see you have the tagline. We can see it. We can see it from afar, because the people entering this building, this hospital, aren't going to get billed by an entity called Penn Highlands State College. They're going to get billed by an entity known as Penn Highlands Huntington. If that tagline is not with our name, that Penn Highlands State College, they will not approve having this as a campus of. I know it sounds strange. I know it sounds very minute. I know it sounds like something the Department of Health really wouldn't care about, but they are sticklers. We have to carry this tagline on certain physician offices, on certain buildings, and it all has to do with how the services are billed and how we receive reimbursement from the government. I'll pause there.
Okay. Anything else you would like to say before we have comments from Planning Commission or follow up to what Greg said?
All that I was going to finish off was this is slightly higher than the accommodated, slightly higher mounting accommodate, well, I can't even talk now. Slightly higher mounting height will accommodate the tagline and still allow enough background space for clear legibility from Colonnade Boulevard, allowing for safe navigation to this medical facility. So that's what we were asking.
Okay. I'm going to go down the line and we'll follow up to what Greg said, and then we'll follow up to what you said also, Melanie.
Okay.
Is there anything staff wants to interject with before we go to comments, or are we okay to just go down the line and ask questions? Okay, Ellen?
Do you have a sign, so other than this sign on the building, I saw that there are other signs. Is there a sign more forward on Colonnade Boulevard, or is this the only sign that's visible from Colonnade Boulevard?
There are signs, I have a package I brought along with me of the other signs that were approved
So, yeah,
that are directional signs. They don't say Penn Highlands Healthcare, and they don't say Penn Highlands State College. They say Penn Highlands Plaza, because that is what the name of the whole facility, the whole.
so there are directional menu signs that have been approved per our ordinance that meet the ordinance.
And where do they sit?
There's going to be 3 along Colonnade Boulevard. One at entrance A is at Sheets and Cracker Barrel. Entrance B is where the new red light will be installed. Entrance C is at the next entrance. And then there are also there's one internal directional sign within the site.
And in terms of the relationship, the size relationship of the tagline to the main headline, I guess, I thought you said something about 9 inches. I got a little bit lost there. What's the 9 inches?
The 9 inches is a campus of Penn Highlands Huntingdon to ensure that it is legible from the distance from the road.
And how do you evaluate that? I guess one question I had was, it's not possible to just reduce the whole thing. Like, in other words, it's a unit. I understand that if you reduced it just,
It's possible to reduce it, but that's where the United States Sign Council, USSC, comes into play, where there's a calculation between, it's based on speed of traffic, letter height, and number of lanes. And there's a formula that the United States Sign Council has. We have a book on it. I should have brought the book along.
but given that there's signage on Colonnade Boulevard that tells you that's the plaza, then you pull in, you're pulling into a facility that you believe is, where you mean to go, then you see the sign. So you're
Correct.
more inside you're not looking at that sign from Colonnade Boulevard. You know what I'm saying?
True, yes. but
That's
when
all I
you're-
was just asking.
Yeah, when you're entering the facility, I get what you're saying, I guess. You don't need to see that it's that big from Colonnade.
Colonnade Boulevard, right. It's just my only thought.
Okay. Bill, and then Jim.
Okay, so you keep citing the USSC. Are they a controlling regulatory body?
They're not, no.
So we
they
do
don't
not have to
regulate.
abide by anything that they say?
You don't.
Okay.
No, it's a suggestion on sign height. The sign companies.
Right.
Abide by that, yes.
I want to verify what we have to comply with and what we don't have to comply with before we make a decision. So we do not have to comply with that. Is not complying with the USSC's recommendation going to affect the Pennsylvania Department of Health's certification? Do you know, yes or no?
Won't know until they take a look at it. They survey after it's all up, and then they tell us if it's okay or not. They will not look at anything and make any decision until it's installed, and then they'll look at it and tell us if it's right or wrong. Welcome to our world.
So in
So
essence,
when they come to survey this campus, they're going to pull into Colonnade. I heard the question. So you're one car length into Colonnade, and you're approaching this facility. We certainly want people to know that this is Penn Highland State College. There's no marking on any of those other signs on Colonnade. Those were signs that were requested by Patton Township to help truck traffic choose and cars choose which entrance they should proceed to. And then we were given the opportunity to name the plaza, and we named it Penn Highlands Plaza, but there's a sheet, as you know, and a Cracker Barrel there. So we've had the Department of Health say to us, do I have to use my binoculars to see that tagline? And if you look at that picture from that she shared, that Melanie shared from Clearfield, they needed to see that tagline from Route 322 that passes quite a distance from that roadway there.
I'm going to add, at Clearfield Hospital, they were required to place that tagline on that sign on the back of the building facing 322, and then also in the front of the building on the main pylon sign that's in front, or monument sign more so, that's in front of the building. There's a tagline that was added there. On that monument sign, it is a little smaller on there because, of course, it's not seen from as much of it as it's seen from the parking lot. And so there's that. So it is relative to where you're at. When you're entering a doctor's office, the tagline is about a half-inch high.
At this point, I think I'm going to say no until council can come and explain this to us a little, at least to me, a little bit further. So that's kind of where I am on this. I don't think, from what I've seen, that you're entitled to, and it's my opinion that you're not entitled to a variance on this, and I don't want to go down that slippery slope right now. But, if council can come in and sort of detangle this a little bit better for us and provide us with all of the laws and regulations and interpretations of the regulations, I would be open to changing it. But as of today, my answer would be no.
Jim?
Being the emergency's 24 hours, my question's on lighting. How bright is the sign going to be on all those letters?
I mean, I don't have the actual nits of what it will be, but it's lit with LEDs. I can get that information for your review. It's like a normal channel letter is what it is.
My 2 cents worth would be it doesn't have to be very bright if you have a dark background.
Right,
Because we don't need any more light up in the sky around here.
yeah. Bright enough to be seen from Colonnade is what our goal is.
That's it for me, other than going along with Bill there.
Sharon?
I don't have any questions.
So I think strongly that I don't feel that I'm personally in a position to take action on this. One is, I didn't know all the background of all these laws and regulations, number one. And two is, this is my opinion. I feel that we have to, quote-unquote, get this right because of the fact that there's other entities in that Waldo corridor that could set a precedent going forward.
That's how I feel.
So while I don't want to see someone come in and say, you know, this isn't complying after you do it, regardless of what we decide, I'm not in I don't feel comfortable taking action on this, and if I had to take action, I would be no.
I would move to table this if we had an option.
But when I first saw this, to be extremely clear, we have another healthcare facility that will be watching this. I was born in the morning, not this morning. Then we have senior living down Waddle Road that could be looking at that. So what I'm getting at is, I think we need extreme clarity, and I don't feel that I have extreme clarity at this time.
Yeah, and being an attorney myself, I'm telling you, I don't have clarity on this. I need to read, I need to at very least be provided the text of the law and the text of the regulations and the interpretation guidelines of the departments that are evaluating this, et cetera, before I'm willing to make a choice, because we do have several other hospital entities that are coming down the pike, and if we get this wrong, too late, you know, then everybody's going to be screaming at us that these signs are too big, so.
We're not talking size. We're only talking height.
Height.
Because the issue with this sign, because at staff level, before we even said that they might want to bring it in front of you folks and so forth, we sat down and we started looking at this, and we had lots of ideas. I mean, it's like, let's pull the tagline off and let's put it over here. And they said that the regulatory group said that's not an acceptable means to do that. So, because you could move Penn Highlands down, but the question, then there's no area for the tagline. That's their problem, is finding that tagline and keeping it with the signage. Because the sign meets the square footage requirements. It is pushed 3 feet higher on the building than what our regulations would permit, because we need to stuff that tagline under it.
And I'm not.
Yeah, I just don't.
That was, I mean, that's where we're at right now.
Yeah, and what I'm not clear on is, I mean, I know what our township ordinance says, you know, I teach how to read, but where everything fits in terms of, you know, if it goes to the zoning hearing board and then it goes forward or whatnot, there could, you know, where does the law fit into this puzzle? I guess I'm viewing it like a puzzle. Maybe other people aren't viewing it like this, but I don't have clarity of all the moving parts at this juncture. And I think that the precedent going forward with the other entities, I can't take a vote. But I get we're talking about the billing statement to have clarity for the customers, but I'm just not clear on everything.
Yeah.
And to be honest, I would have liked to have the background information coming in here so that I could at least see the puzzle pieces fitting, because to be honest, I know PA code for schools and education. I don't know it for this stuff, and I didn't even know there was a regulatory agency, to be blatantly honest.
And I know how to do appeals to denied medical insurance and using, Medicare, but I didn't know 42, Chapter 4, subsection B, 413E, et cetera. So, I mean, I would have liked to have been able to see that as well.
So this is Greg from Penn Highlands. May I interject a suggestion?
Sure.
Sure. I'm listening from this, I'm listening to the conversation from afar, and I really respect what you guys do and, the regulations. And we certainly don't want to be the health system that comes in and rocks the boat and, opens Pandora's box. So why don't we go back to the drawing board and we'll come up with something that meets the height requirements in the organized fashion that it is there, because you said it, you guys said it very eloquently, it meets the size requirements, it's just not meeting the height requirements.
Yeah.
So I'd like to pull this, if this sounds like it's causing you guys a lot of heartburn, and I respect your ordinances, and we certainly want to be a good neighbor, and we certainly want to fit in to the State College community or the Patton Township community. So I wouldn't spend any more time on this. If this wasn't comfortable for you, and after hearing the questions and the comments, it is what it is. But we'll come up with a solution and get it back to you. We're going to be opening this facility June 1. So we really need to get this signage into production soon. And I appreciate that you guys would go back and read the ordinances. You're welcome to read it. I have it up in front of me. But if that's going to take a lot of time, let us just revise it on the heights wise. We'll either have to reduce the size or we're going to have to do something else. We may be able to shrink down that tagline a little bit to get it down 3 feet.
That sounds great.
Okay.
So my
Thanks.
question is, if we get this sign that's appropriately sized down in height, we won't have to come back to planning and zoning and all that. We should be able to have the folks at Patton Township review it, stamp it, and move forward, correct?
That's correct.
That would
Okay.
be ideal.
Yeah.
No,
Yeah.
okay. No, whether I was there, and I really appreciate you putting this Zoom call together, just wasn't able to be there, but I wanted to participate. I hear you. You got a lot of stuff going on in State College. I'm in State College at least 1 or 2 times a month, and we certainly don't want to be the organization that pushes and pushes and pushes. And if it's not going to work for you guys, then it's not going to work for us. We'll come back to Patton Township with something that still meets the size requirements or is under the size requirements, and we'll get that height. We'll do something to get that height requirement down so it doesn't end up back at planning. How about that?
Sounds great.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Greg or
Melanie, I'm sorry, I cut you off. Is there anything else you wanted to add? But you and I will go back to and we don't have to go back to the drawing board. We just have to figure out that height. So I think we can do that.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Greg
Thank
or
you.
Melanie, can either one of you send me an email letting me know that you're withdrawing this request?
Sure.
Because I'll need
I
to
can do
cancel
that.
the zoning hearing board meeting then.
Yes, I can do
Okay,
that.
thank you.
All right. Thank you for coming in your time.
The sign looks great. It's just,
I just want to say one thing, and then Bill, I'm going to move to CR.
Okay.
PR. I think from my standpoint, like, this could come up in the future going forward because we have other things. Like, I know it's not, I don't know all the state regulations on stuff, but like, if there'd be a way to, I don't know, put links somewhere that has this stuff so that, or somehow make them included, that would just help me out immensely. And so we're not in this position if we have another entity on Wattle Road or wherever come to us. That's just my final statement.
Ken and I had talked about this too, when we bring in the sign regulations ordinance,
Yeah.
this might be a,
It's probably going to be a discussion point going forward because Patton Township is continuing to see taller and taller structures.
Yeah, and my initial feeling was if, I had a crystal ball, we've been talking about the sign ordinance for as many years as, I've been above ground being seen, not viewed. And in an ideal world, this is going to keep coming up, and I guess, the question on the Senate floor is, it would be ideal to have the sign ordinance try to, I don't know if supportive is the right word, but to work in conjunction with where companies coming in want to move their heights up. Or sizes or whatever. You know what I'm trying to say.
Sure.
Okay. Status on pending items, we have none. So I'm going to let you give us a summary of your CRPC meeting.
Okay, so as you know, I am the Patton Township representative to the CRPC from this body. And we had our first meeting Thursday, thank you. There was general reports by the other townships. First off, Ray Forzada is the chair, and Neil Sullivan has been elected vice chair. He's from Penn State University. We had a report from Jim Saylor, the Center County Metro Planning Organization. I was appointed by the CRPC to rep for this, as their rep to the Center County Metro Planning Organization. They meet 5 times a year. Ferguson Township is working on affordable housing. Penn State University is working on sustainable landscaping. So they're working on less lawn, more native plants, less mulch, and they're actually going to expand a forest on their grounds here. College Township is working on affordable housing, and Harris Township actually just completed their sign ordinance.
Okay.
So there was no information from the borough, as nobody was there from the borough, but it looks like it's going to be an interesting group of people. They are really wanting to work on affordable housing and address affordable housing. We'll see how that goes. I would love to actually get our hands on the Harris Township sign ordinance, since we're talking about our sign ordinance and that they just updated it. And that is basically it. Do you have anything for me that you want me to bring up with the COG Planning Commission? Oh, one other thing, really quick. They are working to hire 2 senior planners. And they just recently reduced the requirements for those senior planners to 1 year of experience rather than the however many 8 years of experience. And Mike
And to bring them in as
yes,
just planners and train.
and then train them. So Mike Tilka is heading that up. And did I miss anything else? Because it's obviously that you read the report or was listening.
Yep. That's a good recap.
Yeah.
Okay. Well,
And I had a great email that I sent to Amy, but apparently I can't pull it up on this machine because it's not the machine I sent it from. So my notes are basically was this and then live streaming it. So I apologize because I would be asking Amy for the rest of my notes. But they did, I was asked actually by Mike about, and I did notify Amy this, they wanted to know if we are still planning on leaving, and I said my understanding is that we are still leaving that planning organization program unless they get things changed, and that things could change, that our decision could change, basically the saying nothing and saying everything at the same time.
And the new director did say that you would be checking in 3 months, and then in 6 months,
Yeah.
make the final decision.
Yeah.
I think the reason, that's why the finance director stated that we would pay for 6 months, because, and if they don't have a planner within 6 months, we would stop, because we're not receiving anything. They have the funds to make the rest of the year out if they need it, was why he had made that recommendation. And we could be in the same situation this coming December that we were this December, where we don't have a planner, and CRPA doesn't have a planner for us, and we are required to give 12 months' notice before we leave. So if we didn't give notice now, we can always rescind that easily if they get a planner for us. But we had to be prepared so that if they don't have a planner, we can take those funds and hire our own planner if necessary, where we would wind up another year down the road if we wouldn't have said in January, yes, we're going to leave. We wouldn't have the opportunity in 2025 to hire somebody. We would wait until 2026 because we would be locked in.
Right. Okay. Thank you very much, and if we knew anyone that formerly worked in Harris Township, maybe we could ask them to see if we could see their sign ordinance. So, anyway, I think that's a good idea going forward to take a look at that, because I anticipate that that will be a work agenda task in the near future.
One other thing that's probably going to come forward, the staff from Patton Township, the borough, Ferguson, Harris, and Center Region have been working together on, and College Township as well, on a tree list that would be utilized by all municipalities. So that way engineering firms know whenever they're doing a plan, these trees are acceptable and so forth. And it's jointly, we're hoping to bring it in front of all the planning commissions and boards then and have it approved so that it would streamline it for the developers, for the landscape individuals, as well as some of the nurseries around the area and so forth.
And the last question on that is we're making sure that they're not using any more than 30% of any one species.
And that's a recommendation, yes. But I mean, the tree list itself is something that, I mean, because you could do a plan in Ferguson Township and their requirements are different than Patton or College. And this is something that's coming from the developers as well as coming from nurseries, because some of the trees that are being requested, yeah, it might be a native Pennsylvania tree and so forth, but there isn't very many people are raising some of those trees to be planted. And if we put those on a plan, but they're not acceptable, then we're just wasting our time and wasting their time. We need to get something that's useful for both entities, for us as well as for the developing team.
Okay.
I'm hearing tree farm.
All right. Okay. So that brings us to the next agenda item. Thanks for that, Ken. The Board of Supervisors took action as a note on the January 24th meeting. The board approved the rezoning of 160 West Clearview Avenue. That's the only thing for other business. Anyone have anything else before we ask for a motion to adjourn? Jim?
I was slightly surprised that there was not one letter, one email, or anything on that Clearview at the Board of Supervisors. Being a Patton Crossing veteran.
Oh, you are? Oh, I know. I didn't know that about you, Jim. Okay, can I have a motion to adjourn?
A motion that we adjourn.
Okay, second? Okay, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
We're adjourned.
Yeah, I caught it.